Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. I'm your host, Rudolph, joined by AJ Haefele. Let's call it what it is. The Avs never really showed up in this hockey game. Losing to the Blues 4-1 ultimately never really felt close, did it?
No.
So
their first goal felt like the end of the game.
Yep.
They just did not look any good. They didn't have any legs. They didn't have any jump. There was no fire. There was no competitiveness outside of Jost and Nichushkin. Those two were all up on it. Otherwise, the rest of the team,
a lot of dudes cruising around for the most part.
I have watched more intense Avalanche practices in the last couple of years than that. I mean, they were awful. It got a little better in periods 2 and 3, but by that point, the score dictated the game was pretty much out of hand at that point. Like, it was more or less decided.
Yep.
And so it just didn't matter. But I mean, this was a nothing burger, man. I mean, this
very much.
They weren't any good up and down that lineup. Evan's doing grades per usual tonight, and
it's gonna be harsh.
If I see anything higher than a B-, I'm
veto.
I'm criticizing him publicly.
I got to tell you, I don't think you're gonna see anything better than a B-, based on what I saw in that hockey game. You mentioned Jost and Nichushkin. Maybe the only other real positive to come out of this game is Nathan MacKinnon's point streak continues. And that's a miracle because Nathan MacKinnon was awful in this hockey game.
Oh, he was so bad, dude. And not even gonna I don't know. I dared to criticize Nathan MacKinnon for his play in the first period, and I got told I was blaming him for everything that was wrong with them. So look, Nathan MacKinnon wasn't any good tonight. It doesn't mean Nathan MacKinnon's the reason that they lost. There were 17 other skaters tonight that also were not very good.
For sure.
I mean, the top line was dog shit. They were so bad.
Yep, all three of them were just junk.
The second line, whichever one you want to call the second line, not very good. I liked Jost and Nichushkin more than any of the other skaters tonight, and I still don't think they were that great.
Yeah,
they generated almost nothing dangerous offensively. Were they working hard? Were they cycling? Were they in the right part of the ice? Totally. But that's how you judge a fourth line, not a second or a third line. Whichever one you want to call them, because they were listed second.
I mean, by the end of the game, everyone was on a different line, it felt like. So,
yeah,
things got jumbled a little bit at the end. But,
I mean, it just doesn't even matter.
But, I think the reason that this shines a little bit of a spotlight on MacKinnon and the top line as a whole is you're the top line for a reason. When your team is having an off game, you're the ones that are expected to dig them out of the hole. And the top line tonight just helped create the hole.
Yeah, I mean, they were awful. Like, Colorado's top line, you just don't win very many games. Look, how many games was St. Louis winning or in this series head-to-head when the MacKinnon line was chewing up O'Reilly? For 6 games,
yep, that
happened. And the Avs went 5-1 in those games. That's not an accident. In these last 2 games, you switch it, and the O'Reilly line chews through the MacKinnon line, and what happens? They win both games.
Yep.
When your best players win the battle of the best players, it puts you in a really good position to win the game. When that happens, and the depth doesn't do anything dangerous or meaningful.
Well, and
it's a pretty easy victory tonight for St. Louis. They were straight cozy.
And there's multiple facets to that, right? Like the Avs' fourth line tonight at least started out as Belmar, Sherwood, and Liam O'Brien. You're not expecting to get any goals out of that line.
That is purely a we are surviving injuries and trying not to screw up anything that happens on this line.
Right.
Which is too bad because they have, I mean, between Belmar and Sherwood, I think they have two guys that have claims to be NHL players.
Sure.
You know, Sherwood is very shooty, and I'd like to see a little more than that. Their underlines are actually so phenomenal in this game.
They were honestly possession-wise dominant, at least in the first period and second period. And I mean, look, you look at the stats, and the Avs are gonna be skewed pretty heavily because the Blues just decided they didn't want to play offense in the third period. But
22-4 in shot attempts in the third period.
Yeah.
It's just like this is absolutely a game where if you didn't watch it and you came back and you look just at the stats and you're like,
boy, this looks close when it really wasn't at all. Yeah.
Because if you look at it, like the Avs have a little bit of an advantage when the Blues score first, but then it's dead even, and then the Blues score again, and then it's dead even, and then the Blues score again.
Yep.
And it's dead even, and then the Avs score, and then the Blues score, and then things really tilt after that.
The Blues just decide
like the Avs have like
Avs
have like a 9-ish shot attempt advantage from the time the game goes 0-0 to 4-1.
Yep.
And then everything just
then like a 20 tilts. Shot after that.
Yeah. The ice just tilts, and it's not really a whole lot meaningful. There were some chances there, but you know, I'm like Sherwood. I don't know. Like I'm Sherwood got robbed in the third period. Great save from Binnington. The old double pad stack. That thing goes in. It's 4-2 with like 8 minutes left, and you don't feel any better about them winning. You're just like, cool for Kiefer Sherwood.
Yep. It's just, it's when you're not getting production out of your second line, which the Avs haven't been getting great production out of as of late. Granted, Donskoy not healthy. Saad obviously out, although he's been playing on the third line. Your top three guys can't afford to have an off night because there's just nothing there beyond that. You've seen decent production out of Jost as of late, but he starts on a third line for a reason, right? You don't put anyone on your third line to expect consistent production out of them.
Yeah.
So the Avs just weren't good. There's no beating around the bush. This was not a good hockey game. And while there's a lot of negativity here, I also do want to say it's pretty easy to compartmentalize this game into a little box by itself and move on with your life.
This game did not blow my skirt up at all. There was nothing about this game that I am taking away as particularly meaningful.
Yep.
The Blues finally beat Jonas Johansson. That's nice for them.
True.
They win their last two games of the series with their starter against both of Colorado's backups, I guess. No Mikko Rantanen, no Brandon Saad, no Jonas Donskoy. So there's a third of your top nine.
Byram's still not back on the back end.
Defensively, there are no excuses. They've got 5 of 6 guys that are going to be in their lineup at the start of the postseason. And the one guy that's not is Connor Timmins. And I don't know. How did you feel about Timmins?
He was fine. He
one great play, one really bad play, and a whole lot of in between that I didn't mind.
He got beat to the outside once, but that was a weird play where like him and Kadri didn't communicate on covering a guy early in the first period. And then he had that whack play where he ends up tripping Patrick Nemeth. And it was like, okay, this is very much the energy of this entire hockey game was Connor Timmins tripping his D partner. But
and Nemeth has been, I put it in my post-game piece, which was actually done for once.
He's been awful.
They have gotten the Avs this is what 3 games now for him.
Yep.
Nemeth has given them all of the negatives that you knew that existed
And
with
none
Patrick
of
Nemeth,
the positives,
and absolutely none of the upside that they were looking for. You go in understanding that these negatives with Patrick Nemeth exist.
Yep.
That they're normal, that they are just a thing that exists. It is just part of who he is as a player. It's part of his DNA. But none of the stuff that has made him valuable in his NHL career with Colorado and with Detroit was on display. Has been on display so far.
Isn't there?
There's no physicality.
Isn't there?
There's no good defense being played. He's not blocking shots. You can't help the PK if you're in the box, big fella. And on the PK has not changed anything. That unit continues to go south.
Yep.
I have no idea where Ryan Graves is going on that first power play goal.
He was actively put himself into no man's land.
I have no idea why he goes that far out to try and block that shot. What are you doing? I don't understand. I don't understand this approach that the team has to that PK unit right now. I don't get it.
It feels very lost. It really does. But I mean, the problems were far beyond just a penalty kill in this one. So yeah, no Mikko, no Grubauer. Mikko wasn't expected to be ready. There's a chance, since Grubauer's off the COVID list, that he could have goaltendered, but
I mean, he joins them. He's off the list. He goes through his. I just don't understand. I don't know. We'll wait for Evan. We'll wait for Evan for this.
Evan will have the presser information on here soon. Look, it was terrible hockey.
I put on Twitter after the game. This was their least competitive game since their 4-1 loss to St. Louis on opening night. More
than one person tweeted at me saying that this was the worst game of Nathan MacKinnon's career.
And 16-17 happened, and we would have to comb through a lot of bad hockey to try and actually figure any of that out. But it certainly is the worst among the worst that we've seen him play
in a long time
in the last couple of years. Absolutely. Yep. I mean, just not good at all.
So a lot of bad, but we'll talk a little bit more about it after this first period break, as we are sponsored by Breckenridge Brewery. I'm sure that game made a lot of you want to drink. Get yourself a Hot Peak IPA like I have right here. Also, check out their Breck Seltzers, 15-can sampler packs of absolutely delicious alcoholic seltzer. You got to love it. You can also head out to the DNVR bar and try 8 different types of their beer on tap there. Yeah, Breck Brew's dope. Go have some if you haven't had it yet. We are also brought to you by Gabi Insurance. That's gabi.com/DNVR. Go check them out. Everyone who's used them with DNVR has saved at least a couple $100. The average user saves $961 a year on car and home insurance. So why not go visit? It's completely free, and you can save yourself a whole ton of money on your home and auto. Again, that's gabi.com/DNVR. And last but not least, when you save all that money, go to DNVR and get an annual subscription. 1, it helps support us. 2, you get amazing content. 3, it comes with a free mask and shirt. So you get a little bit of everything for your bang for your buck over at thednvr.com. Look at all the awesome stuff. Even big beers down at the bar. It's dope all the way around. You get a bunch of wins. You get to hang out in the DNVR lounge with all of the gang. Look, DNVR is dope. I don't know how else to say it. You can also get yourself a free holistic stick there along with your free shirt. If CBD is your thing, they will hook you up just for getting an annual subscription to DNVR. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, as we do have Evan here to tell us, quote, the first period was dog shit. Is that the start and end of the entire presser?
Well, I mean, it could have been, and I'm sure most would agree it probably could have kept going from there. But yeah, Landy and Bednar were not happy with the first period, and Landy was very, I guess, explicit with how bad he thought it was. And I think Bednar even said their brains were not turned on. And he doesn't really want to blame the COVID break as, kind of cutting into everything, but he said it could potentially be playing a role in everything. And obviously they don't want to be making excuses about the fact that they're missing a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, anyone who could look at this lineup right now can see that there's a depleted talent, I guess, infusion in there. So yeah, it was not a good showing. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You always know it's a bad game when Landeskog is the only one that shows up at the press conference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They run him out every time nobody wants to talk to anybody, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's the job
Of the captain, yeah, no doubt.
know, that's the job. I remember when I covered the Avs in Vegas, that 7-0 loss, and I walked in and I was like, I hate to do this, man. And he was like, I understand. It's my job. He was like, you can talk to me after every game if you need to. It's fine. He knows, like, that's the thing.
Yep.
Every game in 16-17, he was the guy who would always stand up and talk. So he didn't have a good game, but he's always going to talk. Like, he's at least going to be the face of the franchise. So yeah.
Yep. That's
unlike, the other guy who you rarely get to talk to.
Yeah. It's funny how little of we've seen of him this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can't imagine he was too interested in talking tonight. So
it doesn't matter what night it is. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Did they lose 4-1? Did they win 8-0? Same response.
He gone. Were there any positives from the press conference at all, or was this basically this was awful in every way and get rid of it?
No. Mikko's not joining the team. Grubauer skating tomorrow, but Bednar did sound like he was like really wanted to start him on Wednesday, but he's like, he basically just is like, I have to be smart here. That he
wants to win that game, so he wants to start Grubauer, but he knows Grubauer is not totally ready. And if that dude goes in there after a week off the ice and he pulls something, it's super duper not worth it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows better, but the competitor in him absolutely is like, play Groovy. I don't want to play these bums.
Other positives? No, not really. I mean, I wanted to ask about Byram, but I don't feel like that's a good question to ask after a shit kicking
tomorrow during practice.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's a guy who's back home. He might not even have anything to tell us. You never know.
I always tell people that's a
practice question.
That's a practice question. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing that came up was about Kadri. If he's getting different line mates, if that plays a role in his struggles, or if it's just a cold guy. And he's like, nope, he's just cold. And the Jost Nichushkin combo is playing a lot better. So we're trying to do everything we can to keep them going. And Kadri's got to figure it out.
Is that your take as well, Evan? Because AJ and I were sifting through the positives, and we pretty much came up with Jost and Nichushkin, and that was it.
Yeah. Timmins again, off and on. He was a lot more off than he has been the last 2 games, I think. But I still like that he's playing a little bit more aggressive, trying to jump in, things like that. But and Sherwood, I kind of like Sherwood. He's not like going to light the world on fire, but I think he's a decent player.
It's funny you say that because I wrote about Sherwood in my post-game thing, and all I just said, I like you for Sherwood.
Yeah.
I like him. That's it.
So, digging out a couple of positives there. What is your biggest concern going forward? Because look, yes, the top line was atrocious tonight, but that's not something that's going to continue to happen going forward.
Kadri has kind of been a concern all year, if I'm being honest. He's had some really good games, but for the most part, it's been kind of an ugly year for him, where most games you don't really notice him, and when you do notice him, it's turnovers, things like that, not using his line mates. That's why it's like, who's his line mates? It doesn't matter. He's not passing to them. Like, he doesn't really use his line mates all that much. So Kadri's a concern because that's why he was brought in, to be the secondary guy, and he's just not providing that right now. And beyond that, Graves isn't in the top 4, and I think he looks really bad. And Nemeth, Bender did mention that, Nemeth did miss a month between when he got hurt in Detroit. So he is rusty right now, and they do notice that. So, but that's that's your 4 or 5 right now, and they do not look good. And when the top 3 also don't look good, it just kind of expands on that.
This was, to piggyback off that, I feel like this was a great example of when your best players are bad, you just lose in the NHL.
Yep.
Like, you need depth guys, you need secondary scoring, you need lower pairings to not get crushed and stuff. Like, yes, okay.
But if your best players aren't even competent, you never had a chance.
Yeah, like if your best players are actively hurting you and they're losing their matchups and they're not getting anything done when they're out there, you're just not winning.
Yep. Evan, who had more energy, the Avs tonight or you in your midnight game the other night?
Well, we won, so
easy.
But today I can barely move my body after playing a tournament after God knows how long. But yeah, we won. It was weird looking up at the clock at the end of the game and seeing it's like 1:12 in the morning. It's like, good Lord.
Is that the time left in the period or the time of day?
I'm all tuckered out. Yeah, the Avs didn't have legs and they didn't have their brains. That's usually not a good combination for any walk of life.
Yeah, hockey or otherwise.
Yeah,
not a great look on the scale there for sure. Nathan MacKinnon's 14-game point streak. AJ and I touched on it.
Cool that it continues.
Not that MacKinnon was going to win the MVP anyway, but what would it take at this point? Does this game basically just stop any momentum he had for MVP or a second place in MVP since McDavid's going to win it anyway?
Yeah, I don't think he had any real momentum going towards the MVP. I haven't heard his name other than McGuire going off the other day. I haven't really heard his name talked about at all as MVP.
The thing is, man, is you go and you look. He's right behind Leon Draisaitl now for second in scoring in the NHL. Like, he's like. So I think when people get to the end of the year, if he overtakes Draisaitl, even comes
within still 8 points of McDavid.
Well, and he's still like 12 points or whatever behind McDavid. Yeah. Whatever it's going to end up being, whatever those final totals are. Like, that's how he gets in. That's how he gets into it, right? Because the people who aren't staying up and they're not watching this game because this game is on when they can watch it, but all of the Canadian division is playing tonight, so that's getting watched by everybody. All the Eastern teams are playing at the same time, and then I can damn sure tell you. All those dudes are not staying up to watch the Avs next week when all of those games are starting at 10:30
Eastern.
Yeah,
Jesus.
So we're talking like that. If he finishes third, because I think that's the only realistic shot for him is to finish third. What a run that would be, though. A second, and then I don't know whatever he finished after that. And then a second, and then a third. It's all setting up for him to get the Lifetime Achievement Hart next year.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what he does. The Hart's been decided for a while.
Yeah.
We talked about Nemeth as the new guy in the defense. Thoughts on Soderberg so far through 3 games?
Well, he's not a top 6 forward, and that's kind of how they're using him, which is, I don't know if that's because that's what they plan to do, or if that's just because they don't have a full lineup right now. But yeah, I mean, I like Soderberg as a player, but he hasn't like super fit in right now. Like the random icing at the start of the game when he had the puck just come to him and he just launched it down the ice was the most ridiculous thing ever. Yeah, I like him as a player, but if this is the plan to move him in the top 6 for the rest of the year, then hopefully they see it's not going to work out.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I
don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't think Soderberg's a top 6 player either.
His highlight so far was when he tried that Forsberg move, and it didn't work
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a nice feed to Kadri the other night where Kadri just got robbed. Like, he has had some chances, but yeah, he's not a top 6 forward, and they just have to realize they can't use him as much as they really have been using him.
Yep. I think that's pretty accurate. Granted, getting Donskoy, Rantanen back would certainly help with things like that, but
hopefully Brandon's back before the start of the postseason. That 2 to 4 weeks is like right on that.
Will he be back or won't he?
If it's more 2 weeks, then you're fine. If it's more 4 weeks,
yeah, I have a theory that Saad's been banged up for a while, and I almost wonder if they're like, just get healthy. Because there's been some days where, I mean, he missed a morning skate a while back. Like, I kind of think he's been dealing with something for a while, and he's just a veteran. They're like, yeah, you can just sit out for a couple of weeks. I'm not worried about him missing the playoffs.
For sure.
My theory.
Even if he does miss the playoffs, it shouldn't be more than the first round. But without getting into speculation there, we can take our second period break as we are brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. You can get on over there, use code DNVR when you sign up to get a bunch of amazing different odds boosts on pretty much any sport under the sun. But specifically right now, if you go sign up, DraftKings Sportsbook is bringing you the $1 to win $100 in free bets. All you have to do is place a wager on any draft day outcome for the NHL. If it hits, you win $100. It's that simple. You can bet on something as easy as a quarterback going first overall, and you win $100 for $1 bet. That's free money. That's what it is. So go over there, get on DraftKings Sportsbook. If football's not your thing, bet on hockey, bet on basketball, bet on baseball. You name it, bet over there. They have a bunch of amazing different things that you can do. You can try. They even set up those little missions for you. So if you're looking for doing some fun little bets, things like that, they'll be like, hey, do this 3-leg parlay with whatever bets you want, and you'll get a little bonus. Highly recommend it. Check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use that DNVR code to let them know we sent you. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customer only. Winnings paid out in free bets. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-522-4700. Also brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD-infused coffee that has really changed lives. You can get 25% off now with code DNVR25 over at StravaCraftCoffee.com. And you can try it before you buy it by coming down to the DNVR bar where you can get their cold brew right at the bar. Excuse me. We're also brought to you by Solos Meds. Now is a great time to get in on these guys. 5 days left to get in on their trip to Jamaica that they are giving away. Head to solosmeds.com/sweepstakes to find the rules and get yourself entered today. Be sure you use code DNVR20 when you go on down there to get 20% off your entire purchase. Great deals, great chance to win a trip to Jamaica. What do you have to lose? It's dope. Jump in. Ends at the end of April, so do it. You don't have long left. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Be sure to like and subscribe to the video here on YouTube. Helps us out a bunch when you do those things. Help support the channel. All of that business. 10 games left for the Avs. They are
Can
now.
you hurry it up.
They are now 4 points behind Vegas with a game in hand, and 1 point ahead of Minnesota with a game in hand. This gonna remain a little bit weird because Minnesota plays tomorrow night, I believe. So Minnesota doesn't play till the 28th. Wow, what's it like having 2 days off in a row? Crazy. Anyway, are already panic buttons being hit? Are we still just chilling, waiting to see Wednesday's game to really set up what first in this division / potentially the entire NHL looks like?
I'm not panicking. Minnesota has 5 games against St. Louis and 2 against Vegas, and Colorado has 2 games against Vegas and then 8 games against LA and San Jose. Colorado's got a soft enough schedule that they should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not panicking either. I mean, I would say if the Avs lose on Wednesday, maybe the division's out of hand, but even then, like,
comfortable with second place.
Yeah, they don't have. They're missing some players right now. It is what it is. I'm not worried. This team was just completely steamrolling the NHL for 2 months. They had 2 bad games. It happens.
Agreed. Honestly, the first of these 2 losses wasn't even that bad of a hockey game. A bad 15 minutes, definitely. But, yeah, is it the super next level galaxy brain play where they lose to the Blues and then take the 2nd seed? So Vegas has to play St. Louis in round 1.
Suddenly, I mean, look, if St. Louis is going to get in, it's because they won their way in.
Yep.
They will have gone through Colorado, Minnesota, and Vegas to do it.
Yep.
Because those are the teams that have been on their schedule for the entire last month of the season, with Arizona being the only other one. So if St. Louis gets in, it's because they earned that, because they worked their way in against the toughest competition that they could have had. So that's just, like, kudos to them. Is that the big brain play? I mean, you don't want to give up. You don't want to give up the first seed. It's not even just the first seed in your own division, but you remove yourself from being the top seed from home ice for the rest of it. For the other division matchups. Of course, I'm just assuming the top teams come out of it.
Yeah.
If they don't, then who knows.
The free seed is free game for sure.
Yeah, whatever. But I just don't. This is not the NBA. You don't dick around with seeding like that. If they tell Brandon Saad to go and take 2 weeks to get healthy, like, that's a big brain play. Like, go for it. That's totally fine. Like, we'll survive. We're in the playoffs. Do whatever you got to do to get healthy and get those, because, like, that's what you went and got Brandon Saad for. The 56 games is like the vehicle, right? That you drive through and decide your seeding. Great, but you really went and got him to get you to that next level. So getting him healthy, getting Rantanen back into the groove, getting Donskoy back into a groove, a notoriously streaky player in Jonas Donskoy, a guy who has gone more than 40 games without scoring goals in multiple NHL seasons. Like, this is a dude that is super duper streaky. And now that he's completely removed from all of the good vibes and the great rhythm that he was in, I'm worried that he's going to come back and the guy's just going to be a black hole again. He's going to go back to what we saw at the end of last year, where he looked totally compromised. He didn't look any good at all. So I'm worried about that. Honestly, just not that worried about Nazem Kadri. That guy has consistently risen to the moment and figured it out in big times in his career. Would I love for him to get it going sooner than later? Yes. But I would be shocked if he doesn't have a handful of hot performances before the postseason starts.
Just for the record, Donskoy kind of was in one of his slumps before he got hurt or got COVID.
He had cooled down pretty significantly.
He had his hat trick game and then straight up 7 games without a point, and now he's been out. So, but that's exactly who he is. So, has anyone watched? I didn't see anything with Saad last game.
No, they said lower body, right? I have no idea. Yeah.
So,
I think you have a sound theory. It makes perfect sense to me that if he's been banged up and they know that he's been banged up and he's been fighting something, as soon as they clinch, they're like, just ease off, dude. Fine. It makes all the sense in the world. Just take care of you. Make sure that you're up and running. That 2 to 4 weeks is a nice soft timeline. It could give him. If he was really feeling fine, it could give him time to come back and get 2 or 3 games to knock some rust off.
For the record, Kadri 28 points in 34 playoff games in his career. So,
is it not weird that they actually gave a timeline with Saad?
Yeah, right. Like, I'll do 4 weeks.
They've done this a couple of times at the end of regular seasons where they're like,
yeah, Mikko a couple of years back. Yeah, like now we'll just so you guys know he might be back for the playoffs.
Yeah. When they don't have the option of threatening teams with it in the regular season anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much more there is to talk about. I think I was hoping for more out of Kaut, just to be honest. I think he's been kind of underwhelming. I'd like that he's trying to make plays, like he's trying to hold on to the puck, but there's not a whole lot going on right now.
Yeah, I was hopeful that this would be the game where he would step up and do something.
Yep.
And then the entire
team was just
the entire team shits the bed, and it's like, well, that's disappointing. Certainly nothing has happened that says take him out of the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, look, they put him on the third line over Sherwood and O'Brien in this game.
Please be done with William O'Brien. Please, he is useless. In a game where your team has no energy.
Yep.
And you get
a goal dropped on you. You get a second goal in the first period. Like, if your dude's not going to fight somebody, then
that guy exists to bring energy and to just go out there and
take somebody's head off.
Take a big run at a dude and hit a guy, and like, I just don't. What in the hell does he exist for? If in a game like this, he does nothing. Like, this is your moment. You're on. Like, the team looks like shit. They have no energy. They have no life. This is exactly what the fourth line physical plug is supposed to do. You're not in there to play hockey, bro. You're in there to hit somebody. You're in there to fire everybody else up. You are in there to be an emotional spark. And he didn't do a damn thing. He did what he always does. He just rolls on into the zone, picks a spot, stops, waits for the puck to leave the zone, and then skates to the bench. Like, I am so blown away that a team that has made so many smart personnel decisions in the last few years continues to waste time on this guy.
How many games has he played now?
Dude, it's like 10 of them.
He's played more than like any call-up this year, I'm pretty sure.
Like,
on forwards at least.
I don't get it, dude.
Yep, this was game 10 for O'Brien.
11.
Is that,
you got him at 11.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate the NHL's website so much. Okay, it's 11, despite
11.
the NHL saying 10.
This is me being the kid from Almost Famous, where he just keeps screaming 11 at the beginning of the
movie. No one knows what happened. McDonald just disappeared too.
McDonald somehow has a multi-week injury during the COVID pause.
He was, yeah.
What are you doing?
He got hurt using his body by Jake at home during the COVID break.
What are you doing?
Bowflex.
I'm just One of my roommates bought a Bowflex, and
They still make those things?
He has spent 4 months putting it together in the
my
living
God.
room. Like, I think one piece gets added per week. I go upstairs and it's so funny because it's out of the way of everything, so it's not a problem.
Is it like the OG Bowflex, or is it their new like free weight system where you like lock it into the wheels?
Maybe if it ever got finished, I could tell you.
That I feel like do kids these days know what Bowflex is? Like,
yeah. Well, I said Body by Jake, and I'm glad somebody recognized it, but I really aged myself on that one.
Yeah, that was before. Like, Bowflex was the thing in infomercials when I was a kid, for sure. But
what I remember was Tybo.
That guy came to my high school. So.
Billy Blanks came to your high school.
He came to our high school and did Tybo.
Amazing.
So yeah, well maybe Jacob McDonald pulled something on his pelly.
Him and Harrison hanging out on the Peloton. Yeah,
fighting for the title
top
of
spot.
Peloton Prince.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, someone said shake weight.
The shake weight. Classic.
I don't know about classic, but
that's you're getting the real true experience of this hockey game. The DNVR Lounge was talking about weightlifting during this hockey game, so that's how entertaining it was. It just was not a good one.
Dude, it really wasn't. Like, every year there's always like those 5 to 10 games where you're like, if I could have just burned these from my memory, if I could just go
this one,
if I could go back and like tell that version of me, like, just don't bother, just don't watch it, do something else during this game.
Yeah, there's a whole season.
This would be on that list. Like, there haven't been very many of those this year.
There really haven't. Yeah.
No.
This one, the opening night game, the 8-3 loss, the 6-2 losses to San Jose and Minnesota, and the 3-0 loss to Vegas, and the 3-2 loss to LA. Those are the ones that I'm burning.
Got a couple people in here knowing who Body by Jake is.
Thank God. I did love the play where Taves sat behind his net for 10 seconds, telling everyone to go, and he just launched it into
the bench. Thank you for the super chat, Anime. Oh man, we don't own a shake. I'm not buying a shake weight for a Manscaped read. All right, it's only so much I'm willing to put into this.
That's only if they sign a long-term advertising deal with us and not these short-term ones.
There you go. Perfect.
Because the only time they would do that is if we were crushing it in the sub so much that people were just
willing to commit.
Yeah, people were burying them in DNVR codes where they were like, we've got to bring you on as a long-term partner. All right. Then he'll get the shake weight, or I'll get the shake weight for him, however it happens.
I don't know what more I can do to get you guys to sign up for Manscaped at this point. So
yeah, it's true. Everybody loves the Manscaped reads, but it's like, you guys need to go and buy all their stuff. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yep. All right. Are we done here? There can't really be any final thoughts about this hockey game other than it never happened.
Dude, I'm so excited it's over and that we just get to move on. I'm really looking forward to Wednesday. I think Colorado goes in with no Grubauer and no Rantanen and a little bit compromised.
They get to play with nothing to lose a little bit, yeah.
Exactly. They get to play a little loose and free. All of the pressure is on Vegas. I feel like whatever happens Wednesday, I'm fine with. There isn't a result that will bother me. Super excited for it. The real highlight of today is that Jeff Bridich quit, and the flowers are allowed to bloom at Coors Field again. The fountain can work. The trees can grow. The witch is dead, man.
If this loss was required for Bridich to step down, I'll take it 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, if this was penance for Bridich quitting, I'm so about it. I never have to see that dude's stupid face in a press conference ever again. That smug asshole got what he deserved, and it only took him tearing down the best Rockies group ever to do it. So, hey, he's gone. Now we get to move on.
It's that meme society when Bridich quits.
Society if Bridich was never part of the Rockies. Is super futuristic.
Yeah. Before playing St. Louis these last couple weeks, it was like, oh, man, we're going to see a new team. We haven't seen them since the start of the year. Now I'm like, I'm done with them. And now San Jose kind of feels like that team because they haven't played San Jose very much this year. It doesn't feel like so.
They have 4 games coming up against them.
Yeah. That's how little joy I've gotten from this schedule that I'm like, oh, you're going to see a new team, San Jose. They feel new. It's fresh.
Until that 4th game in a row, and then you'll be like, make it end.
Until that 4th game in a row that ends at friggin' midnight for their moon camera.
Yeah.
It's true. Next week's gonna suck, dude.
There's one more 6 p.m. Mountain game, and then the vast majority of the games are like 7:38 or 8:30 Mountain, and it's gonna be bad.
Why was this game at 5 anyway? Like, that's not even a good time in St. Louis. Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, this was supposed to be the Vegas game, so there might have been them working around something going on national TV. But I don't know. I mean, this was supposed to be the first period was supposed to be finishing up between Colorado and Vegas right now.
Yep.
So I also like how anytime we ever say anything about the start time of a game, every East Coast fan like rolls out of there and is like, "How do you think it is for us?"
And then like
Europeans show up.
The amateurs meme of that guy where the Europeans
the Europeans roll out here and they're like,
"Do you think that's bad?"
This starts at 1 a.m.
Do you think that's bad?
The guys in Australia are like, "Hey, these games start at like 6 p.m. for us. This is great."
Oh, David's popping off again.
Damn, what else is new?
I want him to get to 100 so badly.
Dude, I hope he does it.
I think that would be so cool.
In any case, we are going to get out of here unless Evan has some other things to say. No? Good? All right. No. On that note, thank you for watching, listening, however you consume the podcast. We appreciate all of y'all so very much. We'll be back tomorrow with a 1 p.m. show, normal, non-game show. And then, post-game Wednesday.
Yeah, what should we talk about tomorrow?
Oh, I don't know. We could talk about so many things.
Talk more about this game.
Like what?
Do we want to talk about Avs or around the league? Because those are 2 very different topics.
I don't know. Let's talk about Alex Newhook. That's fun.
Alex Newhook.
Who?
I'll just go get all his highlights tonight, and then we won't even do a pod. It'll just be 20 minutes of Newhook highlights, and that'll be our show. Okay. For real, though, until tomorrow, we will talk to all of y'all later.